Hello, this is astrologer coach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming new moon in Leo, which will be exact on August 16th at 5:38 a.m. New York time and 10:38 a.m. London time. And the moon will align with the sun at 23 degrees of Leo, and that's what starts the new lunar phase for this month. Now, please use my timestamps in the description part of the video to watch the video in smaller sequences, or jump to a part in the video that you're interested in if that resonates. And I will also make a special offer in a moment, so stay tuned for that. And there are several planets that are important in this new moon chart. Uranus in Taurus and Mercury in Virgo, they trine each other. But they're also both exalted because they're stationing, they're slowing down to come to a halt to start their various retrograde phases. And then Jupiter in Taurus also starts to slow down and station only a day after the new moon becomes exact. And so we will feel all these archetypical energies more strongly. And Jupiter will feel more strongly in particular until September 22nd. Now, all of these planets are preparing for the retrograde phases, and this brings awareness to issues we have to face or deal with during the various retrograde phases. Now, the new moon in Leo also aligns with Venus, which is currently already retrograde, trines with Chiron in Aries, and squares this wide Jupiter-Uranus alignment in Taurus. So, lots to talk about. There's also an exalted Mercury, which makes a Quincunx to Chiron in Aries and aligns with Mars, which is the ruler of Aries. But more about all of the details in a moment. Let's first talk about the new moon energies. Now, the retrograde Venus aligns with the new moon in Leo. And so this highlights the power of our individual creativity and makes our inner creative child and any physical children that we have in our lives essential for the next 28 days. So that childlike energy is really important with Leo, and with Venus connecting there as well. We need to dig into that. Now, since Venus is in her retrograde phase until September 3rd, we are invited to look at what it is and what isn't in alignment with the expression of our own light, this joyful spirit that we each carry, or that we're born with at least. Now, we're invited to reclaim our hearts and reconnect to our inner joy and be expressive, playful, and connect to that core in us, right? That joyful, expressive, playful core. Now, what you want to ask yourself here is, what needs to be reevaluated in my life? Remember, Venus is retrograde, so we're reevaluating something in our lives. And what are my heart connections telling me? You know, any connections that I have with life or with people or with things in my life that really resonate with my heart. And do I feel connected to joy, to a healthy sense of self-expression, playful creativity? And where can I find the courage to step outside of my safety zone? Leo wants to be courageous and brave and wants to do something that are connected to our joy and our heart, which means we have to let ourselves step outside of our safety zone in order to do these things. And what role does gratitude play in all of this? Now, we have to remember, these questions, they are there for us to align ourselves with the energies as they are at the time of the new moon. And I want you to use them in an intuitive way, not to answer the questions in a logical mind sense, but to allow the questions to sit there and to answers to come to you in an intuitive way. So you can do this via journaling, or you can do this via meditation. You can also do it in a group setting to allow the group to resonate with these questions and come up with answers. But allow it to be more of an intuitive flow, if you can. Now, we also covered the Venus retrograde phase in our most recent forecasting forum, which is now available for purchase on my webinar page. So feel free to go to my website and check that out. There will be a link also below this video if you want to take a closer look and better understand your relationship, self-worth, and financial issues right now that are coming up. And also, this is the special offer that I have for you guys. Until August 14th, I am offering the Venus retrograde in Leo webinar, which is listed for $37 right now, but it's really valued at $98 because it gives you so many answers in terms of like how to work with this energy with your birth chart. So it's it's as if you were getting a mini reading or a shorter reading from me. But I'm offering this until August 14th as a bonus gift to anyone who either books a reading with me or a coaching healing sessions, or anybody who buys a Soul-Based Astrology Basics course. So if you've already been thinking about connecting with me for a reading, whichever length, doesn't matter. If you've been thinking about a coaching session or a coaching package, or if you've been thinking about doing some more astrology studies with me, then this will be your bonus gift until August 14th. All right, now that's my offer. Now for the next 28 days, the new moon in fun-loving, extroverted Leo has us looking for these heartfelt experiences. So think about the keywords for this self-expressed fire sign. Remember, it's a fire sign. It's very self-expressed. And the keywords for Leo are proud, generous, hospitable, caring, warm, authoritative, active, open, fun-loving. And if you hear these words, just tune into these words, into these keywords, and see how could you live into these words and how can you align yourself with these words in some way. And if you want to read a little bit more about the Leo-archetype, feel free to read my New Moon in Leo article that will be posted by August 11th, the latest. Now, as I started to talk about earlier, we have a lot of stuff that's going on with this new moon in terms of other planets. And I already mentioned that Uranus and Mercury are both exalted and stationing at the time of the new moon. And when a planet is in its station phase, we are more fully aware of that energy. It just is a little bit more in our face. And this helps us to connect to those energies as they exist within us and to check and see, like, are we in alignment with the highest vibration of that energy? And if we're not, what can we do to notice what's not working or what's more of a denser vibration in connection with that energy? Now, Uranus will remain exalted until September 13th. It starts its retrograde phase on August 28th at 23 degrees of Taurus. And Mercury stays exalted until August 29th. Now, both of these exalted planets also trine each other. And so that brings a beautiful ability to use our insights about money and our physical realities and implement some strategies in our daily work or health routines that support our higher vibrational shift and also support more practical solutions to get our body to resonate on a higher vibrational level. So ask yourself here, could I honor what my body needs to raise its frequency, even if it is different from what others need? And then also simply ask what works for me and what doesn't work for me in terms of that physical vibrational energy. And if my body had a say in this, what might it be saying to me? And again, feel free to keep tuning into these questions via meditation or via journaling. These are very helpful questions right now to contemplate. And what practical solutions might help implement insights that arise from paying attention to my physical reality? So again, we need to keep tuning into our physical reality, into our body, into the earth, the planet. We need to keep tuning into, what's going on a physical level in connection with our finances, with the things that we have, that we know work in our physical reality currently and what doesn't work. And then also, of course, Jupiter in Taurus also starts to slow down in station only a day after the new moon becomes exact. And so we will feel this archetypal energy more strongly until September 22nd. Now, we get to see where we need to embrace those energies more fully so we can use them in a healthy way without getting lost in the lower vibration or the denser vibration of that energy. Now, the lower and denser vibration of Jupiter include things like, oh, the heck with it, who cares, or I deserve this and more, or I deserve better, or the rules don't apply to me. Generally speaking, with Jupiter, in terms of a denser vibration, it's like too much of something, too much of a good thing, or too much optimism. So being sort of naive in our optimism, it's too much of some kind of physical energy, like excesses, right? Like too much food or too much indulgence. We're stretching the truth sometimes with Jupiter. We're over-promising, we're overindulging, we're overspending. So Jupiter will station retrograde, will go retrograde on September 4th at 15.5 degrees of Taurus. And the energy of Jupiter at its highest vibration represents our desire to seek insights via some kind of gain of knowledge. And it is also the planet of possibility, of optimism and growth. And this includes mental and spiritual growth. So it's something that we grow because we experience or we explore ourselves or life in a new way. We're open to growing. We're open to expanding our beliefs or expanding our point of view about life. So ask yourself here is, where do I need to grow beyond old belief structures? And where do I need to expand my relationship to the physical realm? And what beliefs or attitudes are no longer serving my physical abundance on this planet? Jupiter has a lot to do with our attitudes, with our perception, beliefs. Now, feel free to join us for our next webinar, Jupiter Retrograde in Taurus, for more insight on this and how it relates to your own birth chart. Again, these webinars are almost as good as getting a mini reading, which is valued at $98. And you can join us live on Friday, September 1st at 5 p.m. Eastern Time and 2 p.m. Pacific Time. And there will be an early bird pricing that is available until August 30th. Now, with 3 planets in their station phases from August 17th until August 25th, and then a 4th planet joining in, because Venus will start to slow down again on August 25th until September 16th, we will be dealing with many exalted energies that want our attention. So as best as you can, stay present to all those messages that are coming in right now without losing your center, without becoming reactive. And see it more as like the universe is offering you a chance to check out the current menu of flavors that are available to you and to see how much in alignment you are with these flavors. And most importantly, you do not need to make any immediate decisions about anything. And you also, you don't need to choose a favorite flavor. You do not need to change anything right now during the station phase. You don't need to take anything off the menu because it's no longer a favorite of yours, because it's no longer in alignment with who you are. But as best as you can, during the station phase, just watch, learn, and take notes. Write down in your journal or write down in your daily calendar. What do you observe? What do you notice? What's calling your attention? What's tugging at your sleeve? Now let's go back to the new moon in Leo. The new moon aligns with retrograde Venus, like we already talked about. It trines with Chiron in Aries, and it squares a Jupiter-Uranus alignment in Taurus. A wide one, but because of the degrees, it squares both of them. Now let's unpack that. the trine between Chiron and Aries and the new moon Venus alignment in Leo brings a wonderful possibility for active healing around our perceived flaws, limitations, and insecurities. Now, with Chiron representing the wounded healer and our ability to heal others, this combination could help us acknowledge that we are pursuing a worthy goal that we believe will be fulfilling on all levels. Remember, Chiron is all about approaching things from a holistic place, which means physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So we really want to feel this fulfillment on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level when it comes to our own personal goals, when it comes to our own identity. We just want to feel that we're doing something that nurtures all of those levels, or that approaches our doing or our achieving or pursuing from all those levels. So ask yourself, what if I decided to take a more innocent approach to my healing process? You know, remember, the energy of Leo is sort of like a childlike, innocent, joyful energy. And so what if we decided to take a more innocent approach to our healing process? If we don't take it so seriously, but we just kind of like allow there to be more of a playfulness with it. And what if I celebrated my flaws, my idiosyncrasies, and my insecurities? And this is just an experiment, right? Like, let's just experiment with this. Why not? Let's just see what would happen if we celebrated those things rather than try to fix them or try to, you know, get all caught up in it in a sort of like lower density kind of a way. And what if personal limitations were my main drivers for creative approaches and expressing myself with more care and compassion? So we have to remember, as human beings, right, we all have our personal limitations. Everyone does. But what if these limitations were actually not just a bad thing? Like we like to label things as good or bad. But what if these personal limitations were not just bad, but they were also our main drivers for creative approaches and for expressing myself with more care and with more compassion with other people? What if that were the case? And then how open can I be to being courageously myself and complete with all my sensitivities and insecurities? Now, the new moon Venus alignment also squares this wide Jupiter-Uranus alignment in Taurus. And so this is allowing us to stretch and grow beyond our comfort levels. So we're really kind of like, we're feeling a little bit of a friction here. And so we're needing to grow beyond those comfort levels, because Taurus likes to be comfortable. And then this Leo energy says, hey, let's be courageous. Let's do something that stretches us, that goes outside of those comfort levels. Now, we also want to make progress. And so we feel somewhat restless, maybe even anxious a little bit. But if we lack clarity on what is in our best interest, we might focus on things that don't serve us in the long run. So clarity is important, and allowing ourselves to be with the restlessness without needing to go into a downward spiral with it. So ask yourself, what might a reorganization of my finances or talents look like? And then could I allow myself to hang out with the discomfort that might come up as things shift and progress? You know, remember, when we are changing things in our lives, sometimes that can feel uncomfortable because it's new, it's different. And human beings like the comfort of things being the same, things being status quo. So, but when we are invited to shift and make progress, then, you know, we might not feel so comfortable at first, right? It takes time to grow into that comfort. Now, could I allow myself to hang out with the discomfort that might come up as things shift and progress? And could I be open to experiencing something new and wonderfully unexpected? And this might be a question that might support us over the next 28 days with some of these shifts that we're experiencing and feeling. And also, be alert for too much optimism, because that could lead to overextending, overspending, overpromising. And so as best as you can, stay connected to what's real. For instance, avoid exaggeration, especially around money, possessions, net worth, the extent of your talents. Be real, stay grounded. And ask yourself, where do I need to distinguish what I want from what I need? Or abundance from indulgence? And are my current values and beliefs a reflection of my highest truth? And when we talk about highest truth, we are talking about that heart energy, that sense of like, if there are no problems in my world, if there were no issues, what is the remaining energy that remains? What is the remaining knowing that's there? If we don't go into our survival mode, if we don't go into our fixing mode with our mind, our problem-solving mode, if there was nothing there that needed to be resolved, if there were no issues, just being in our highest vibrational self. So are my current values and beliefs a reflection of that highest truth? And what attitudes or beliefs could I set free that no longer serve my growth and individuation process? And we have to remember that, our conditioning can be very strong sometimes, where we come from, the family that raised us, our environment that we grew up in, the teachers that we had along the way, our peers or people that we interact with on a more regular basis. All these things can influence our attitudes, can influence our beliefs. So is there anything that you personally would like to set free that may not serve you any longer in terms of your growth or your individuation process? Now, this is a time when we could accomplish quite a bit if we don't let ourselves get overwhelmed by all the insights that's coming through and all the possible flooding of our consciousness. Because there's going to be a lot of stuff moving through. So if we can ground ourselves and release and let go and meditate and like be in a place of calm with ourselves, in sort of like a wizard place, then we could accomplish quite a bit. So ask yourself, could I allow myself to slow down and listen to the wisdom of my body and then move at the speed that works best for it? So again, with Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus and also being exalted, we do want to tune into our body and really see what works. What does my body need? And then we also, of course, have an exalted Mercury in Virgo, which makes a quincunx to Chiron and Aries and also aligns with Mars. And that's another level of where we really need to kind of honor our physical reality and our health. So let's take a look at what that really means, these aspects with Mercury. Now, Mercury's quincunx to Chiron could create mental insecurities and lead us to somewhat unexpected reactions. Could also be physical reactions. So as best as you can, forgive yourself for having a human moment, or forgive your body for having a human exploration. And this will support your healing process. Observe any tendencies for perfectionism. Remember, Mercury and Mars are both in Virgo, so there might be some tendencies for perfectionism. And one thing that I always like to remember when it comes to perfectionism is progress, not perfection. It's okay to want to evolve and want to make progress with things and want to implement things to make things better. But we have to be aware of not wanting it to be perfect all the time, because that's what trips us up. That's what gets us caught and stuck sometimes. So progress, not perfection. And this is great for anything, relationships, for a relationship with ourselves, with our relationship with our body, relationship with our daily routines, with our work, with our career. You can apply that pretty much to anything in your life. Now, the best way to deal with quincunxes is not to keep looking for the exact solution, but for ways to feel okay when something is uncomfortable or amiss or a poor fit. So if you have quincunxes in your own birth chart, you probably know exactly what that feels like, to not always feel like you can make something work exactly or align certain things, that something's just not always a fit. If you don't have quincunxes in your birth chart, which is a 150-degree aspect, then this might be new for you, and so you might really need to see how you can make some adjustments here for yourself. So ask yourself here, what have I been avoiding or rejecting about myself? Especially concerning the toxic masculine. And, the toxic masculine is things like unjustified rage or anger, inappropriate aggression, or unprovoked violence. Things that are extremely aggressive, something that, the toxic masculine is when things go out of control a little bit with the masculine energy, or when there's an imbalance between the masculine and the feminine, that can create a lot of toxicity in the masculine realm. Because when we're suppressing the feminine completely, we tend to have a more toxic relationship to the masculine. Now, where have I been trying to fix myself? And maybe in connection with that toxic masculine energy, maybe in connection with that masculine-feminine balance, where have I been trying to fix myself? Or my lineage, the people I come from, my ancestors, where have I been trying to fix that? Because let's face it, whatever lineage we're from, that's part of our DNA, and that's inside of us somewhere. And so we can sense that, we can feel that, even if we're not living that out actively, even if it's a part of us that's being suppressed, we are a part of that lineage. And so where have we been trying to fix that part of ourselves, that lineage part? And what if I were to bring just 5% more love to those areas of my life? Or to that lineage, 5% more love to that part of myself that comes from a toxic masculine lineage. And what might a compassionate inner dialogue and self-acceptance do for me? And we have to remember, with Mercury involved, it's very much connected to our inner dialogue. It's connected to what's the rhetoric? What are we saying here to ourselves? About life, about ourselves, about these issues around the toxic masculine. So what might a compassionate inner dialogue and self-acceptance do for me? Now, Mercury's alignment with Mars, which is the ruler of Aries, and therefore directly connected to Chiron, since Chiron is in Aries. And so it's also connected to our healing process and the masculine energies, right? So Mars plays out kind of that, has a lot to do with our current healing process as well. And so this planetary alignment might speed up our thinking, and also needing to understand our healing process around the masculine. And it might also speed up our driving, because Mercury as well as Mars, well, Mercury has a lot to do with moving around, and Mars, of course, would speed things up, would make things fast and impatient and impulsive, possibly. So watch out on the road. Now, something to be aware of, we may take things a little too personally with Mars, Mercury. this defensiveness could make it challenging for others to engage in a healthy dialogue with us. And we may focus too much on ourselves and get attached to being right over being happy. So there could be some righteousness as well, or wanting to be right, or saying like, no, I'm right because this is what I'm saying is rational and it's normal and it's right. But of course, sometimes, when it comes to a dialogue with other people, that doesn't always serve us to get attached to this rightness or this righteousness. Criticism and impatience with others, or even also ourselves, might also show up at this time in spades, especially also because Mercury is exalted. And so as best as you can, observe and discern rather than judge. Observation is that's the highest vibration of the Virgo energy, is observation, being a scientist and observing what's there rather than judging it. Rather than saying it's right or wrong, we say, oh, interesting. Oh, look, this works with this and this doesn't work with this. So we're making observations, or we're making discerning decisions based on what we're observing. So we're considering all the facts, and if we become impatient, just draw a deep breath into your lower belly and feel the breath soothing and clearing your mind. Get your mind cleared by taking breaths, by just going, all is well, all is well, all is well. So ask yourself, what if the voice in my head that narrates and comments on everything was just an aspect of who I am, or even just something I'm aware of, and not the totality of who I am? Sometimes we confuse that inner voice with who we are, and we forget that narration or that inner dialogue is just part of our conditioning. It's not the totality of who we are. So work with this question. If you start to feel some kind of attachment to the mind energy or to needing to be right about things, work with that question. What if the voice in my head that narrates and comments on everything was just an aspect of who I am, or even just something I'm aware of, and not the totality of who I am? Now, to sum it all up for this new moon invites us to reconnect to what lights us up and to reevaluate our relationship to joy, to what we love, and to how we want to express that in the world. Even when what we are expressing does not necessarily align with other people's preferences or ideologies. And it also wants us to consider working within a realistic framework, remaining conscious about what we can and cannot do. And so for the next 4 weeks, as best as you can, pause occasionally and ask yourself these questions. What am I grateful for in my life? And how could I express that gratitude? And to whom? And then could I express my joy 5% more directly and honestly? And what if I brought forgiveness, understanding, and a childlike openness to any connections or interactions that feel emotionally triggering or challenging? Now, if you do have an ascendant or any personal planets in 21 to 25 degrees of Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio, then this new moon will have a greater impact on you than on other people. And if you don't have any planets or points in those degrees or signs, then simply look to see where does 23 degrees of Leo land in your own birth chart. And that house or that area of your life will be most impacted by this new moon. And then if you don't know how to look that up, if this is a little bit too advanced in terms of astrology for you, watch my class, How to Read Your Birth Chart, that is available for free on my website. if you go to my homepage at astrologercoach.com and just scroll down on the homepage until you see a window that says free class, you can click on that window and it will give you access to that class. Now, also, before we talk about setting intentions, I just want to mention one more time that special offer that I have for you today until August 14th. And it is that I'm offering the Venus Retrograde in Leo webinar as a bonus gift to anyone who would like to book a reading with me or a coaching healing session. Doesn't matter what kind of reading. Or if you would like to dive deeper into soul-based astrology, which is what I teach, into the basics course. It's a wonderful 6-week course that provides you with all the knowledge you need to read your own birth chart and read other people's birth charts. So it's a fantastic first step into learning more about astrology. And if you want to do any of this by August 14th, then you will get this webinar for free. And feel free to email if you have any questions about this special offer. And then last but finally not least, let's talk about new moon intentions. The new moon is also the best time to set some powerful intentions for this moon cycle. And the best time for intention setting, for this intention setting process, is soon after the new moon becomes exact, and definitely not during a moon void of course phase. Now, this month, since there will be a moon void of course phase starting exactly at the same time as the new moon becomes exact, we will need to wait several hours before we can set intentions during this best and most potent time. So this month, the best and most potent time will be between 7:14 p.m. on August 16th and 5:38 a.m. on August 18th. And as always, all times are in New York time zone. If you live outside Eastern Daylight Time Zone and converting time zones isn't your thing, I suggest that you join my Facebook fan page, or you can also follow me on Twitter. I will be posting reminders on both platforms on August 16th, 17th, and 18th to let you know when the best time to set your intentions will be. And whenever you see those pop up, you just need to sit down and set your intentions for this coming month. Now, for more information on setting new moon intentions, if you're new to that, I have an article on my website for that as well. And there will be a link below this video, so you can just click on that and read that article. Now, that's it. Have a fantastic new moon. If you are a member, I will see you again in about 2 weeks for the full moon video and to see how far we've come since setting our new moon intentions. And if you're not yet a member of my online community, I will see you in about 4 weeks for my next new moon video. But either way, until we see each other again, much love, and as best as you can, take good care of your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, and have a fantastic new moon. All right, I'm astrologer coach Sonja Francis.